Breaking news, breaking news. Human torso found inside the apartment in the Bronx. 48-year-old Sheldon Johnson was charged with murder of Colin Small for concealment of human corpse. Concealment of human corpse. How many of you heard that terminology or that charge during your lifetime? Well, that's what I lived through back in the 80s and 90s, but it's crazy that this is somebody from the 80s and 90s coming back. It's just all out of control, but we're going to ride anyway, try and get an understanding. Mecca Audio, man. This is what it is. Unique Mecca Audio. We in the house. We getting ready to start this thing up. This is about, Sheldon Johnson, brother that worked for the Queen's Public Defender's Office. This right here is a big disappointment, man. But we're going to try and make some understanding of it. So sit back, enjoy the ride, man. Let me take my picture up off here and let's bring this story up for y'all to see what's going on. All right?
48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and 48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queen's Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queen's Defenders.
I got into school. I got my GED. From there, I got involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in Small's sixth-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises.
Now, so that's what's going on, so y'all understand, all right? We talking about a man. Don't worry about the little echo just now. So you rat bastards find somewhere else to go troll. Now, we're talking about a man that worked for the criminal justice activists, and he worked for the Queen's Public Defender's Office, and he was an activist for the youth. He's trying to save the youth, but he had these psychological traumas that was going on that these people ignore. I want you to understand what's going on in prison, right? Because y'all don't really get it. In prison, they try and act like they really care.
48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queen's Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queen's Defenders.
I got into school. I got my GED.
They just consider
From
that
there,
as
I got
wild,
involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in Small's sixth-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises.
But in our generation, we don't believe in going through what they call that, mental health evaluation. So being that we don't go through mental health evaluation, people take everything we do as the norm and they rush it under the rug. And then as he get older, next thing you know, he's dropping a human out the window. He's putting an M80 up under somebody while they standing up, unsuspected, lighting it up, and then blowing the person up. But it all started from he was younger. And if they would have noticed these things when they was younger, then they would have known to stop him and try and get him some kind of psychological help. Now, Sheldon Johnson, he took correspondence courses and conflict resolution in prison, but it seems like he failed to take mental health courses to find out what was wrong with him. When I got locked up, I knew I was twisted. I seen a cat running across the street, get hit by a car, and the cat lay dead, flat dead is what I'm thinking. And I'm laughing. Me and all the homies is laughing. The elders is yelling, oh my God, oh my God. The children is stuck, don't even know what to think. But we laughing at a cat getting hit by a car. Now, as we sitting here laughing, the cat, about 5 minutes later, we thinking it's dead. It jumped up and it just started running. And then we start laughing and say, man, they say cat got 9 lives, and we telling jokes about it. This is a cat with a heart, with a soul. You know what I mean? Even though it's an animal soul. But the cat jumped up and started running, and we thought it was funny. No one thought that we need psychological evaluation because we thought something of that magnitude was funny, so they just let it go. So that as we get older, we see somebody arguing with us, they walking across the street, and we run them over with the car. You know what I mean? And don't even think twice about it. Not even thinking that that person we running over is somebody's father, brother, or whoever. But bottom line is they did something to us and we wanted to run them over with the car, and it's no different than seeing a cat ran over by a car. We laughing at it. And that becomes the norm in the hood. And that's the issues that we're having. Just like, human body parts was found in 2 different buildings in the Bronx and Manhattan, right? Now, they said this man went in and out the apartment changing his clothes each time. Now, he changing his clothes because, he's allegedly bringing out these body parts in bags. You saw it in the video, So let me show you the video again so you can look at it while I'm talking, So, he's carrying
48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queens Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queens Defenders.
I got into school. I got my GED. From there, I got involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in Small's 6th-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises.
That's why I'm trying to help the youth analyze and recognize that I'm all screwed up, and I don't want them to be screwed up like I'm screwed up.
48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queens Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queens Defenders.
I got into school, I got my GED. From there, I got involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in Small's sixth-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises.
Something is not right. Now, like I said, this man went and changed clothes a number of times, so his psyche was working because he was trying not to get caught, right? So while he's sitting there trying not to get caught, right, the torso and the foot was found in a plastic bin in this man's apartment in the Bronx, the victim. His head, legs, and arms were found in the freezer in the Bronx. And the crazy part is this is not even really being reported. They might flash it once like they do the Haiti thing and let it go. That's why I'm focusing on this, so that our people understand that we do need psychological training. This man was in prison and he took up correspondence courses in conflict resolution, but he didn't take up mental health. And then when he came out here in the real world and everything came together, like, the real world hit him, Whatever happened allegedly between him and the victim, because they said they knew each other when they was in prison. So I already got my ideas what went on in that, why it came out here like that. But I'm just going to say that, that just sounds like a crime of passion. Dude had to be really mad to do something like that. And only time you get really mad like that is when you love someone. It don't have to be a romantic love, But in other words, let me break that down. Let me ride with you. And I'm going to give you rat bastards 3 seconds to tap out. All right, you already know the deal. Take that with you on the way out. All right? Now, so what I'm saying is, can't nobody get you mad unless you care about them. If you don't care about them, you don't care what they say or what they do. But if you care about somebody, now they could do what you consider as the smallest things to get them angry. And you would say, why are you mad? That's so small. No, it's big to him, and he cares about you and how you look at him, view him, and feel about him. You understand? So in other words, if a stranger, if a stranger did something, it wouldn't mean nothing. But if somebody you care about did the exact same thing, you could want to do some real serious harm to them. So that's where we at, man. But for a man to sit there and dismantle, what he considers a friend that they was cool with from in prison, now they out here free man after decades, and then you dismantle this man's body. That tells you that something is not right up here. And the state prison system that he was in, they dropped the ball because they missed it. I didn't want to wind up like one of these type of men, so I took psychological training because I knew I was screwed up. And I know I'm still screwed up because I still stand by a lot of these codes from the street. If you feel I'm screwed up, if you think that that's messed up what this man did to his comrade, then you're on the right path. But me keeping it 100, even today sitting in my seat, and I know a lot of you rat bastards gonna eat this up, but I keep it real here over here, Unique Mecca Audio. First thing went to mind when I saw that news article was, he must have really pissed homie off. It wasn't even that I had sympathy for him. And I'm gonna keep it 100 again. I know these rat bastards, I gotta give him another shot. I know these rat bastards gonna say, man, Unique, you crazy. Yes, I am crazy. Because the first thing I said is, what did the victim do to this dude to make him react like this? I put my empathy in him because this is a man that tried to get his life together, definitely not defending him because he definitely screwed up and need to get his screws put back in the right order. But, I'm from the street, so I know that no one does nothing for nothing. There's always a motivation, a motive behind any action that happens. It didn't warrant him dismantling him and chopping the torso up and all that. Definitely didn't warrant that. But it had to be something that triggered that. And that's because Sheldon Johnson, in my opinion, wasn't in charge of his emotions. And that's why he reacted in the way that he did. I know none of this makes sense to a lot of y'all, but I'm just keeping it 100. We all have some type of psychological trauma from whether we was in prison 26 years or we was free for 26 years. But we have to recognize that our environment and, our living, conditions, it kind of conditions us to be numb to a lot of things. And that's psychological trauma, when we're numb to humans being dismantled and decapitated, and even the youth, the way they're sliding on each other. And that's why I'm really doing this, trying to pull our people back together so they understand what's going on, man. We have to get this right for our people. Please get a mental evaluation if you feel in any kind of way. If things get too overwhelming at your jobs, they have, these free, clinics and evaluations you could get that your job paid for it, and even pay you to take off until you could get your head right. Utilize that. Don't take that as it's normal. As adults, as humans, what's normal and not normal. Let's get that straight. We have to come together, man. We have to come together and try and get some type of understanding of what's going on and try and better our people. If you see one of your comrades doing something that you know is not right, don't brush it under the rug and say he wildin'. That's just Unique. That's just Kenny. That's just Bobby. That's just John. That's just Susie. That's just Kim. No. That's not normal. And if you care about them, you'll go get them help. And that's what this is about. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to this channel. Cop the book of Rowan Harlem at rowanharlem.com. It got 4.5 stars on Amazon. My Cash App is on the screen. There's no picture of me in the logo. No picture of me in the logo. Hit the logo. Make sure it says it was created in 2020. And my phone number is on the screen. You've seen it. Rewind it. 917-680-9091. I do return my calls. I return the voicemails first, and then the texts, and then the calls that I miss is last. Because I might be busy or out in the battlefield, and I'm not that screwed up that I go out there in the heart of the hood, and I'm down in my phone, answering the phone and playing these little childish games. We don't do that. You know, I'm about to tap out. I wanted y'all to get something to understand, man. There's nothing nice about this. Let's get this right. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squealing to the cops make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horning uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the root men.